I'm attempting another solo challenge in Pokemon LeafGreen, using nothing but an Oddish, and I'm backing it all up with Pokemon data. To plan this run, I'm digging into the Pokedex, Oddish's stat spread, its grass/poison typing, and every move it learns. I'm building my strategy by looking at which battles are going to be in my favor, which ones are going to be a nightmare, and how its limited move pool can be used most efficiently. It's not just playing through it, it's more of a data-driven challenge. But here's the problem. Oddish ranks 126 in overall stats among all the Generation 1 Pokemon. Can the numbers carry one of the weaker Pokemons all the way to the champion? So without further ado, we take on our rival at Oak's Lab. At this point, Oddish really doesn't know too many moves, and its core stats are just what you're given when you first start the game. So I'm not really hoping too much to win this battle, just more see how long we can last using this one tiny move. After that, we have our first feint of the game and reset. But however, we get through Viridian Forest and we level up to about a level 16 in order to take on Brock, our first gym leader. Now, Brock being a rock ground type and us being a grass poison type, this can be an easier gym leader for us to beat since we can rely heavily on our absorb, and he really doesn't have any moves that can knock us out that fast. With Brock, we had 0 feints, which is an awesome start to our first gym leader. However, we meet our rival in Cerulean City, where he now has his Pidgeotto, Charmander, Rattata, and an Abra. Our Oddish is up to a level 24, and our move set has really got Absorb, Acid, and 2 kind of stat moves. So I think we have a good chance with beating him. I'm a little nervous with that Pidgeotto and that Charmander, but we'll see how it goes. Pulling away from our rival with only 1 feint, which is a good start against all our future rival battles. But next we have Misty, our water gym trainer, against our grass Oddish. I'm not really too worried at this point. Oddish is at level 24 still. We're still bringing in the same moveset we did with our past rival. The only thing I have to worry about in this challenge is that speed factor since we're a little slower. Zero feints, like I said, not too worried. That was probably an easier battle for us. But however, we're moving on to our rival on the SSN, where his team has leveled up a little more and a little more dangerous. Our Oddish is at level 36, getting a little more health, attack, and everything along with it. Our move set about the same. We do have Acid, which is going to be a more useful factor for us. Another perfect win by taking 0 feints by destroying our rival on the SSN. But next we have Lieutenant Surge and all of his Electro-type Pokemon. Grass isn't that strong against Electric, so it's going to be a purely brute strength kind of battle. With our Oddish at level 38, we're really going to focus on using our stats such as Sleep Powder, Poison Powder, and Acid to really pull off this next victory. Hopefully not too bad. Taking down Lieutenant Surge, again, it wasn't too much of a hard difficulty. We were not really worried about that gym leader. Next up, though, we faced our rival at the Pokemon Tower. Now the rival is going to be a little more of a problem for us, even though we're a level 47. That Charmeleon and Pidgeotto are going to be a type effective against Oddish, even though we do have stronger moves and we're a higher level now at this point. Luckily, we were able to put a lot of the rivals' Pokemon to sleep during that battle, which has been a good method for us. But with Erica, we have our first grass v grass kind of battle. And with that, Oddish being a level 51, I'm not really too worried about its strength. I'm worried about the typing with this one, considering grass and poison aren't the strongest move. But luckily, we can hopefully lean on our poison acid move to go be effective against her grass types. Like that, we were able to beat Erica with only 0 feints. But next up, we have our next gym leader, Koga. Now with Koga, him being a poison-focused type trainer, I was a little more concerned, especially since our strongest move was a poison-type move. So that reason, we had to pick up the move Secret Power to hopefully get more of a strength-based hit to take him out rather than focusing on those stat moves. Koga was only able to take down us once, giving us our actual Feint counter up another tick. But next we have our rival at Silph. Now he has his Charizard, his Pidgeot, Alakazam, Gyarados. He's more of a strength and more of a competitor. We're at a level 63 right now, and our moves are the same coming out with Koga. My strategy for this was to use Sleep Powder and really make our way through. With that, we were able to pull away with our rival with 0 feints on this last battle. But next up, we have Sabrina, the more psychic type trainer. Now, psychic being weak to poison, we have a little more of a type advantage when it comes to this one. We're level 64. We're going to heavily rely on our acid move, on Sleep Powder. Not so much secret power, but we're going to see if we can pull through. Luckily, we'll be able to take 0 feints when it came to taking down Sabrina. However, next up is Blaine. Blaine, my only really kind of goal for this one was to use Sleep Powder and take him out as quick as possible so those fire type moves do not get us. Arcanine and Rapidash are powerful enough where one fire type move can one hit us, and that's the end of the battle. I don't know how, but we only got one fate out of taking out Blaine this entire time. But next we have Giovanni. Giovanni, I'm not concerned. It's all ground types. His Needle King and Needle Queen, those poison ground types might be a little bit of it, but with us having secret power and then us using absorb for a lot of this challenge, it's going to be a quick one. I don't see us fainting. Like I said, not surprised. Pretty easy W. And now we're off to our rival before victory road. Now, this is where every one of my solo challenges becomes difficult, and we faint way too many times. Our Oddish is at level 74. We still have about the same moves, and that's the same moves we're going to use to get through our rival. I'm just hoping his Charizard and his Pidgeot don't come for us. That was tough. That was a tough rival to beat for this one. However, we're off to Laura Lee, our first one of the final four. Now with Laura Lee, she has that ice typing, which is going to do a lot of damage to us as being grass types. And with being water ice, our grass moves aren't going to be as powerful. So we have to really focus on using sleep powder and secret power. Now, I'm surprised it only took us 4 faints really to get through lower lead, but I'm not complaining. Now, next up, we have Bruno, our fighting type kind of champion. Now, with Oddish, we have our Absorb, which is going to be heavily relied on to take out his 2 Onyxes. Now, his fighting types aren't really that powerful against us, so if we can rely on just getting through as fast as possible, I think we have this one in the bag. Luckily, we got 0 faints when it came to Bruno. However, our next one, Agatha, is going to be a true problem for us just because of her 3 ghost-type Pokemon. They're going to be more of a challenge for us to knock out and get strong hits on, as well as our Golbat and Arbok. Them also being poison types, we only have a couple secret moves, so that's when we adopted Double Team, Toxic, and Solar Beam to take on this next one. Struggle doesn't begin to describe what it took like to beat Agatha and the sheer patience of going back and forth with her. Next up, we have Lance in all the dragon types. Honestly, with this one, I'm not sure how it will go with him. He has a lot sturdier and bulkier Pokemon. We do have a lot of our different moves here. We're still going to rely heavily on us using Double Team and Toxic to really just stall out the battle and try to last as long as possible and let Toxic do its job. Somehow pulling off 0 feints against Lance, I really can't be complaining. But however, we have our rival champion last, and he's going to be our hardest battle yet. Big thing for this one with our current stats and moves is going to be focusing on using that toxic ability and just out surviving him and hopefully double team to get enough of that evasiveness. Pulling away only 2 feints against our rival champion, I can't complain. What a great victory. Totaling Oddish out to 27 feints out this entire challenge. But how does that stack up against everyone else? The third highest so far, trailing right under Jigglypuff and right above Ghastly. But for our next challenge, join us next time as we do our next Pokemon Solo Data Challenge with Horsey. If you like this video, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, what you thought about the challenge, what you think about all our challenges and our future challenges. I appreciate hearing your guys' intake. If anything, have a great day and hope to see you in the next challenge.